So, teachers, thank you so much for coming back. This is our third part of the workshop. You already know our entire life, but still, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Orlando and Marcelo. Marcelo Andrade is a full-time professor at Universidad Austral de Chile. He has a BA in English language and a master's degree in higher education. He has been a team leader of the Cambridge English exams, an ELT material writer in the areas of reading and phonetics, a teacher trainer, and a speaker in some international ELT conferences. Orlando Nieto is also a full-time professor at Universidad Austral de Chile. He has a BA in education, a BA in English language, and a master's degree in applied linguistics. He has been a teacher trainer, a speaker in some ELT conferences, and has been interested in reading comprehension for more than 10 years. Marcelo and Orlando are the creators of Two Graded Readers, and in the workshops, the creation process of the book, the use of literature circles methodology, the comprehension model underlying the activities in the readers, and how to target text for specific students will be covered. Thank you so much for being here. I will leave you with Orlando and Marcelo.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this last workshop and presentation about the work we have done. Actually, I want to show you, if you weren't here before, these are the graded readers that we created, Myths and Legends from Chiloé and the Mapuche culture. This is the size, so this is my hand, okay? It's like a graded reader everywhere. And well, we in the first workshop we talked about how we created the readers and the process to do that. All right, then the model, the reading comprehension model, yesterday, that is behind all the questions, and in the activities. And today we are going to talk about targeting text for better reading comprehension, findings from experience as writers. So when we wrote this book, we found out some things about readers in general. And we found out that we have found something new, a little similar to the graded readers, but with a little difference that can help our students comprehend better. And we propose the term targeting, okay, targeting text, which we think is something that you have done. All teachers have done this in a way, probably without knowing it, okay, but we've done this several times, and we'll explain what it is, the process, etc. So the agenda for today is, first of all, Marcelo is going to talk about graded readers, the types and characteristics of graded readers. Then we're going to address the term targeted readers and why we call them like that. And we'll talk about the process of targeting texts to give you, in the end, to give you some examples, okay? And then you will have the opportunity to target a text, thinking of your students, your specific students, okay? My second graders, my 12th graders, or my university graders, okay? That's the idea today. All right, so just to remind you, these are our books, and you can go to this website. Okay, Marcelo, I'm not sure if you can write it in the chat. So if you haven't visited this site, you can find the books, the texts. For the first one, Myths and Legends from Chiloé, you will also find the audios, okay, and all the activities, answer keys, everything for you to use, for free. Feel free to just use them in your classrooms. Okay, so now I'm going to leave Marcelo with graded readers.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining today's session. In the area of EFL reading in Chile, which is the context that we know, graded readers are common materials used in the English subjects at schools. There are several publishing companies, as you know, with a vast selection of titles in a variety of genres in school to help students improve their English, right? These readers present a series of characteristics which make them an appealing tool for teachers. I'll start by defining graded readers, then I'll talk about the types of graded readers and their common characteristics. After a thorough revision of the literature regarding these topics, Orlando and I could integrate like the definitions of several authors into a comprehensive one. So we can say that graded readers can be defined as specially written or adapted reading material, such as books or audiobooks, which cover like a variety of genres, fiction, non-fiction, for native, non-native language learners of different audiences, ages, difficulty levels. And they are like simplified books with controlled language and content in terms of structure and vocabulary, right? Um, Basically, that's like the definition we could say in general. But according to some authors, like Waring, 2003, there are three types of graded readers: adapted, abridged, and original. Adapted readers are alterations or changes in classic literature in which a story is a little slightly changed and simplified for a different audience. Abridged readers are the ones that are also taken from another text. They keep the main story but change the difficult grammar and vocabulary. For example, they take like Hamlet and they simplify it, even shorten them. If a text is about, I don't know, 300 pages, of course the graded reader is like shorter and it has like more simplified language, of course. And the original readers are like the creations of an author, which are intended to develop reading comprehension or teach different aspects of language, for example. And here we have added the word targeted, which best defines the readers we have created, in the sense that they share some of these characteristics, but different in other aspects that we will explain later on. Okay, now in the next slide, there is a summary of the common features of graded readers. For example, the first one is that they are specially written or adapted materials covering huge variety of genres. As I have just explained, they could be fiction or non-fiction. They are for non-native language learners, different audiences, difficulty levels, etc. They're simplified books and controlling language and content in terms of structure and vocabulary. So we also mentioned in the past workshops like different levels. So we have from A1 to C2 from the CEFR, and they are normally focused on one of the levels and adjusted to that specific level. And they use limited information and cultural background. They have a variety of purposes. They can be done to enjoy, like for extensive reading, to enjoy reading, or perhaps to focus on comprehension or focus on the language, perhaps, right? So there are different purposes for that. And they are used in several ways to provide extensive or intensive reading programs. And most have, normally, if you look at them, they have questions and a glossary at the end so that they can understand the new words for the level. Normally, they emphasize the development of fluency and linguistic knowledge at one level before moving to the next. And the final goal is to create stepping stones to eventually read unsimplified material, right? So this is like getting used to the materials which are taken from the original source, but they are modified a little bit until the learner can really learn something which is like authentic also, right? Basically, that's like the idea of these series of graded readers, right?
Okay, so then after we researched all this and found this, we came up with a question. We said, yeah, okay. However, the question was, do these readers really have an impact on our students' English reading skills? Because we've seen these used in several schools, usually private here in Chile. But do they really have an impact on our students' English reading skills? Sometimes we saw several malpractices, like they translated the books into Spanish, or they just learn names, dates, etc., but not really reading comprehension. Okay, so we thought that our readers, okay, are better in the way that they are targeted. And the question is, why targeted? Right? Yeah, now you ask, why targeted? Well, just like you can see here in the pictures, those two students, they may be in the same classroom, right? They may be at the same level as I said before, or probably not, right? But you know them as a teacher. You know that Juan, likes, I don't know, he's a A1, but he likes sports better than Luisa, who likes, I don't know, singers, pop singers, or that they share something, or that because they are in a private school, you can talk about foreign countries, but if they are in a public or vulnerable school, they haven't been even in another place of their own country. So uh, all your students, right? And why are they targeted? Well, because number one is the characteristics of these students. Remember, in the first workshop we talked about Chilean students, and in Chile, in 2005, the Mineduc, the Ministry of Education, conducted a study. They, students took a test, Cambridge adjusted test. And as you can see here, eighth graders and 12th graders took tests. And the findings were really low. Actually, there were 5 levels in these tests. And well, those are the lower breakthrough, the breakthrough, wastage, and threshold levels. They're the ones on the top. Well, for these students, Cambridge had to create a new level below the lower breakthrough level. Okay, so as you can see right there, no comprende inglés pre-breakthrough, 19% of 8th graders and 4% of 12th graders, plus 67% of 8th graders and 45% of 12th graders did not understand. They were at the lowest level and even lower than that. Okay, that was really something that hit us. And well, after about 10 years, they created the SIMSE, all right, it's a standardized test. Also, Cambridge adjusted CET, okay, test. And we found out that after almost 10 years, from 2005 to 2014, now only 2 out of 10 students got the certification at CET. That's A2, I think, certification, the level of that, 2 out of 10, right? Only 25%. In 2010, it was only 1 out of 10. So the characteristics of these students, if we want them to read something that is really difficult, well, they will be discouraged and not motivated to keep reading, right? Second, we have people from Lima, from Peru, etc., and you can understand what I'm saying. We do not live in an English-speaking context like Europeans do. Look at the map right there. If from Chile we go to foreign countries, well, let's go to Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Venezuela, Panama, etc. After traveling for thousands of kilometers, we would still be speaking Spanish and not hearing a single word of English as native speakers, right? So, like Europeans from France or from Germany to Great Britain, you can go there and you will hear English spoken, right? Another thing is the interests and the identity. Okay, we are still working with the interest part with Marcelo. All right, we didn't ask the students, for their interests really, but the identity is important. Okay. Why? Because, okay, we think that if you give them to read something like Wuthering Heights, in which the cultural background is way too different from, for example, myths and legends from Chiloé that they know of, well, it will be a little more difficult. And this is, of course, important. Cultural background and prior knowledge in order to make inferences, to understand, to create a situation model. We were speaking of situation models yesterday. Well, the literature that we revised, you have several authors right there, says that if we don't have the cultural background of the topic or content we're reading about, understanding will be more difficult. Okay, so in that sense, if we give these two books to the same group of students, one on the left, Murder on the Orient Express, reader that you can find from one of the publishers, or the Mapuche culture that we created. Well, Newnham says that when students were given two texts of a similar linguistic level, in this case, both are, graded for B1 level, one from a context familiar and the other alien to the learners had trouble comprehending the unfamiliar text. Okay, so in this sense, we believe that the Mapuche culture reader will help them more in reading comprehension. Okay. So the question is, we have these two readers right here, Myths and Legends from Chiloé and the Mapuche culture. And the question is, what makes them targeted then? Okay, they share the same characteristics of the other readers, but what makes them targeted?
Okay, and we thought that there are several characteristics, like 5 characteristics that are different from the others, from the graded readers, as Orlando have just said. They are based on the contents mandated by official national syllabi, because we took that into consideration when we created. The first step was to look at the syllabi and then find the contents and everything that are used for those students, right? Which is different from the graded readers from publishing companies, because they just grade different readers, but they don't know about, or they don't consider the different syllabi in the different countries, right? Anyone could read those. That's the first one, right?
The second one is that these readers take into account the students' local identity and national themes and topics. Okay, so careful right here when we talk about identity or national themes. We can identify to music, for example. I like rap, so I can identify, or basketball, so I can identify with that. But the local identity is different, right? The local identity is yours, and national themes and topics are different. It's different when you read about, I don't know, the Orient Express, which is about trains, but here in Puerto Montt we don't get the train, so students don't know what a train is, or a train station, or buying tickets for a train, for example. Okay, for example, those things, which is closely related to number 3.
Number 3, it's about providing familiar cultural background for students. It's kind of similar, but the idea is that familiar means that it's every day. It's around the student's environment. So they hear information which is in the text every day, or it's in their context, in their cultural context. For example, yesterday we were talking about the myths and legends, for example, Caleuche, Trauco, etc. And if you go to in Chiloé, they talk about these things, and they hear the word Caleuche, they hear the word Trauco, which is like common and familiar for the students. Whereas if we think about students in another city in Chile, for example, Arica, which is in the north, they don't know those things, or perhaps they know them, but they don't talk about it. So this is like what we mean by familial cultural background.
Yeah, the next characteristic of these readers, targeted readers, is that they help activate students' world knowledge to interact with the text in a better way, right? And so they can make appropriate inferences and mental representations of the topic at hand. All right, Wuthering Heights, even for me right now, for example, Wuthering Heights, it is difficult to come up with a mental representation of that. Why? When they tell me the Mapuche culture, is like, okay, yeah, I know that, but I don't know why, but it's in my kind of like blood, right? So that helps me to activate that world knowledge that is in the text. That is, of course, helpful to make inferences and to make a situation model in a better way.
And finally, there's a last characteristic, which is that there is a shared cultural background between the author and the students. We are, for example, from an area next to Chiloé, very near, and we know exactly. I mean, we have the same knowledge about these things than our students. So I think that makes them also easier for writers to target the students, right? Because you know what they know, for example. So if you are in the same social or cultural background, it would be very difficult to write about other countries or other cities, and to target them for different students, I think. So this is the last characteristic that makes this different from the others that we mentioned before.
Yes, and of course, the teachers have a different insight when writing. Okay, because we are from Puerto Montt, our students are from Puerto Montt, so we have a different insight. While I can also write about New York, but I don't have the savvy, the New York savvy, or some things that only New Yorkers, can understand. For example. Okay, so right now we can add to this table that we showed you before the types of graded readers. We can add an the last one, targeted, which is based on the syllabus for each of your countries or communities, etc. For those students specifically, they take into account students' local identity and they provide familiar cultural background. They help activate students' world knowledge and better than the other ones. All right. Actually, we showed you in the characteristics that the other ones have limited cultural background. Okay, compared to this one, and then there is a shared source culture between author and students, which gives an insight in order to write. So, and now what happens in the classroom? All right. And we think that everybody as teachers can bring this to the classroom. And I'm sure that you have done this. Okay. Because I'm sure you have adapted or changed a text that you were going to check with your students, and you thought, they are not going to understand this word, or no, this is too difficult, I'm going to take this part out, right? So in the general classroom teachers, well, we want you to be empowered and feel that you can do this, and you can adapt reading materials, targeting those materials, to your students' characteristics, profiles, interest, and all the things that we've discussed. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So you target whenever you have a text, because and by the way, this is focused on reading comprehension, because I know that you may tell me, okay, but I don't want to change a text because I want them to learn vocabulary. Well, that's a different thing. If you want them to learn vocabulary, okay, all right, let's give them a more difficult text or with more vocabulary or new vocabulary. These are, focused on reading comprehension, so they can understand, how to get the main ideas of a text. So now Marcelo is going to tell you how to target any text, for example. This is one of the
Okay.
findings.
Yeah, so we have like 4 steps to make these targeted texts. The first one is to focus or go to the English program. You may select one of the units, the objectives and contents, and then choose text with you can adapt, considering the interest of the students and their characteristics, of course, because you have to think about something that might be like interesting for them, not just any topic. And then you can target students' background and prior knowledge. So we have to think about what they know. We can even talk with students, make a short survey perhaps, or ask students what their interests are, and then we can figure out the text that we can adapt. Then write the text considering all the previous steps, right? That would be like the last one. But those previous steps are key to have something that could be interesting to the students, really. So That's also important.
Yes, I think step three is the most important one because, as I said before, you are the person who knows your students better than any other teacher. I mean, better than the guy in Oxford, Macmillan, or Pearson, or whatever. You are the person who knows them very well in their prior knowledge, background, etc. So that is important. So, Marcelo, how did we make sure that these were for the right
So
level?
yeah, so when we have like already written the text, thinking about our students, the suggestion is to use this website, which is the text inspector, which is a resource from Cambridge University, and you can enter the text there and see if the words that you have used, the languages for the level of your students also, because that is also important so they can understand the text. So you can check the level, and the text inspector tells you exactly what words belong to A1, A2, etc. So you can adjust the one, or even you can change them to if you're using a word that might be C2, for example, which is too hard, then you might change it to a different level. And they tell you which word um, is appropriate for what level. Again, what Orlando said was important in the sense that this is not this is just for reading comprehension so that they can understand the ideas. It's not that we are not promoting the use of vocabulary. We can see also vocabulary in another class, or, this is because in our classes we normally focus on different
Mm.
skills, right? Like one moment in reading, uh, for, for reading comprehension, another one writing, vocabulary, etc. So, but this is the moment for focusing on, reading, and that's the aim of all these, right? Okay, so basically that's how you do that.
All right, so now I'm going to give you an example of a text, how to target a text. For example, I was thinking of my seventh grade students. So I went to the program, Programa de Estudio by the MINEDUC, Ministerio de Educación Chile, right, the Chilean Ministry of Education, and I checked the units. And I found one that is called Sports and Free Time Activities. I checked the comprehension, reading comprehension objectives, right? And it says that they can understand text, non-fiction text, and they had to understand explicit information, etc. So I checked that, and now I want to work with that. All right. So I go and look for a text. I took it from Santiago Times, which is like a newspaper created here in Chile. Right. As you can see, this is identity because everybody knows football and everybody in the world knows Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Uh, and this is an old news though, because he's not already in Juventus, okay? But this is the text that I took. And as you can see, I marked in bold some things like has announced, has come, and claim, all right? So that is a present perfect, but seventh graders still do not cover that, or we are not covering that. So I did this. All right, I took some things out. I'm going to mark them. Right, all these parts were taken out or changed. And as you can see, my seventh graders are working with the past simple and the present simple, so I mark them in red here. Has announced, very easily changed to announced, right? And has come to came, for example. And I don't think that they're going to understand claim, so better, I changed it to say. And now you can see that the second text is shorter and more, I don't know, for my students it will be better for comprehension. For example, if I read the first paragraph of the one on the left, it says Spanish football club Real Madrid has announced that its star player Cristiano Ronaldo is officially leaving the team's ranks to join Juventus. And the other one is just two lines. Real Madrid Football Club announced that Cristiano Ronaldo is officially leaving the team to go to Juventus. See, same idea, but different level. The second paragraph, and that's the only one I'm going to read again. Real Madrid said in a statement in Spanish that it was because of Portuguese star footballers' intentions and desire to leave that they accepted the deal, but that Madrid will always be his home. And now it says Real Madrid said that they accepted the deal because Ronaldo wanted it, but that Madrid will always be his home. So now there's more past tenses because that's what we are, reviewing in classes, etc. All right. And then you can read the whole thing if you want. That's one thing. Another thing that we were discussing with Marcelo, and Marcelo says, yeah, but we should include this, is because we talked about the identity concept. So look at this text, and the picture is Mount Kilimanjaro. They don't know where it is. I doubt that my students know where Tanzania is, right? Apart from reading that it's in Africa. But yeah, but where is it? A situation model, it's like really identifying Tanzania in the map and how Tanzania is or whatever, that's difficult. So if we want to do something with our identity, look at this volcano right here. I changed those things. And the volcano on the right is a volcano that we can see every day from our windows or in the streets. If you're in Puerto Montt and Costanera Avenue, that's Osorno volcano. Every day you can see it here. If you go to Petrohues, like 90 kilometers away, all right. So it's there, even if you don't want to, it's there. So I just changed the name. Osorno volcano is a dormant volcano. All right, they are both dormant in Petrohuelos Lagos region in Chile. All right, it has many volcanic craters because it has three volcanic cones. Well, this has many craters, and it is the highest mountain it is the highest mountain in the lake, in the Yanquihue province, standing, well, not 5,000, only 2,658 meters or 8,700 feet above sea level. Okay. So you can also do that if you don't, if you want to tackle the identity or more local thing. Right. So those are just examples. It's not necessarily what you have to do, but I just wanted to provide two examples. So now we hope that the message is clear. So now you can target your own text, and we want to know how you would do it and the end result, okay, for your specific students. So Marcelo.
Yeah, so we have text. We have selected one for you to target, and considering uh, grammar, vocabulary, etc. So we'd like you to read the following text there and think about your students and adjust it right to your reality or the students and the level you are teaching. So how would you do that? We can give you like some minutes. We still have some minutes, like, I don't know, say 5 minutes to do that. You can do
Yes.
it. Until you, if you do 3 lines, 4 lines, whatever, we can check that, right? It's just to see the changes that you can do to this in terms of grammar and vocabulary mainly, right? Shall we? We'll give you some time, those the audience, and then
I
you can
can't.
ask anything in the meantime while we are doing this,
Oh,
right?
is that text in the text now in the chat? Because I'm trying to.
No, we can see the slide here. We can all read it in the slide, but on the
Too
chat
long,
section,
I think.
I can't see anything, Orlando.
Let me see, because I want to. Okay, so you can take it
Oh,
from.
so you wanted us to have like so we can edit it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
So
idea.
Okay, let me see if I can do
I can
that.
I can I can post it on the chat if you want.
Right
So
there. That's the first paragraph.
Excellent.
There you go. So you can edit it. You have the text, copy paste in. And this is the second paragraph. Right there. So the idea is for you to think of specific students, okay, and how would you target this text to them, okay? And the idea is that we should have different texts in the end, right? That's the beauty of it.
Okay. All right. So, teachers, we're going to have a little time for you to do that. You have the slide on the screen, and Marcelo and Orlando kindly also had added on their chat so you can edit it. We're really looking forward to your texts. You can write them back on the chat section, or you can join us with video and audio. Any questions,
Okay.
Marcelo and Orlando?
How many minutes?
How many
Minutes
minutes
do we
are
have?
we going
We
to
we
have?
can we can take 5, I
Okay,
think.
thank you.
Okay, yes, you
Yes,
have five
plenty,
minutes.
I'm
plenty.
going to disappear for a moment.
Okay.
Okay, yes, work on that. Work on that. Think of your students. What kind of
Yes.
students? Yeah. And usually, well, I'm going to take the time. Think of DUA, DUA, universal learning, right? The universal design for learning. Have you heard of that? Usually, we think of like an average student, and we create something for that and for them. But in universal design for learning, UDL, you have to think of the one who has the, you know, the least, let's say, capacities or more problems, etc. And from then you can, you know, everybody should be able to uh, participate and do everything, right? So sometimes we leave out those students who uh, do not have all the tools required. Oh, I can't wait.
Mhm.
If you have any questions, by the way, you can ask now too.
I'm very excited to see what are they
Yeah, me
going to
too.
share.
Mhm.
Yeah, usually what I do is to try to find lots of cognates, right? So my students can understand quickly. Great, even Anna is doing that.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, great.
I was thinking that two two promotions back, I had one of my students. He was like crazy for engines. He really
Hmm.
loved, and he was going to study mechanical engineering because of that. He is studying
Mm.
mechanical engineering for that. Jonathan, if you're watching this, hi. And he would have loved this.
Love this.
Yeah, he would have had a field day explaining everybody.
Mhm. And for the students who really are not on the topic, I think it would be a great idea after targeting to put images that are related to that so
Mhm.
that they can see and, activate prior knowledge. So that's even more helpful. I mean, apart from targeting. So images help a lot, right?
Yeah, an image of about semiconductors. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or,
usually
about the
try.
topic of car industries or, well,
I think it's better to use an image than to give them the translation. But
mhm.
that's
Yeah,
just me.
absolutely. Yes. That's a good strategy to teach vocabulary more than giving the Spanish word in our case.
Yeah, because it all the work is lost if you do that.
Yeah. I think there's one more minute, but no matter if you do less than the first paragraph, whatever, but it could be 3 lines or something.
It's like in my head, I'm still trying to find a synonym because I have like the first three lines.
And a synonym for what?
Shortage, like an easier way of saying shortage.
I can help. Can I help you? I can think of deficiency.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more
Decrease.
for an A1, my fifth graders primary. They're
Fifth
very,
graders.
very, very smart kids. But if I say shortage, they're gonna be like,
And then you should change. There are less or very few semiconductors. I would say that. You have to change the sentence, but without changing the meaning or the message, the semantics. You can do that.
Shall we?
I have a problem.
Yes.
Because, okay, I put colors, but I don't know how to paste on the chat because not with colors. Now, for example, I changed some things, but I don't
Okay,
know.
you can read it. You can
you
read it.
can you can read it to us, Liliana.
Okay, okay, but oh my goodness, I want to see you. Okay, if the first paragraph, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me check. Okay, I started with industries around the globe are facing production challenges because of the lack of semiconductors. A global semiconductor problem caused car giant General Motors to stop production at all but 4 of its plants in North America. A GM representative said, okay, although the situation remains complex and very fluid, we remain confident in our team's ability to continue finding creative solutions to minimize the impact on our highest demand and capacity limited vehicles or something like that. Okay, I try
Okay.
to change the
Sure.
vocabulary.
Now, can you tell us about the students you targeted these texts? Because one thing is to listen to you, and the other one is like your students. What
Okay, my
characteristics do they have?
students has varied levels. Okay, but it's supposed to be A1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they are in the university, but it's supposed to be A1.
Okay, university students.
Yeah,
Good.
but
Yes, that makes
we
sense
have
then.
yes. For example, I have students that came from public schools that
Mm-hmm.
never studied English.
Yeah, first year students. That's
Yeah, yeah.
same with us at Universidad
Yes,
Austral.
I am with cachimbos.
Jimbos.
Yes,
Yeah,
we got
that's
cachimbos.
the
When
first
is
year
the
is
first?
called
Yeah,
that.
the
Ah,
first cycle. The
mechones.
first
We call
cycle.
them
How do you
we
call
call
them?
them mechones.
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 Yes.
Mechones. Okay, we call them cachimbos.
Cachimbos. Okay, yes, yes, it's a
This is the
problem.
first cycle. Okay, I have students that are excellent. They are
Mhm.
in, I don't know, in maybe C1, but it's only 1 or 2 in the whole classroom of
Yes, yes.
40 something, no?
Yeah, same here. Okay, so you change some
Some words.
structures and
Uh-huh.
as I as I saw, okay,
Uh-huh.
and some vocabulary. For example, a GM representative said instead of
Mhm.
spokesperson. Very
Uh-huh.
good. Thank you very much. That's great. So thinking of that. Anyone
Uh-huh.
Thank
else
you.
who would like to share?
Sorry, sorry, I just wanted to add right, that yeah, the vocabulary was like the most difficult because of the level of the university. I mean, they are university students, so they are adults, so they might make connections, but also there are lots of cognates here. So I guess a global, for example, or
Uh-huh.
cost,
Mm-hmm.
or so industries. So there perhaps there was now need to change so many words. So what you did was good
Exactly.
because
That's what I change are, for example, shortage or this kind of
yeah,
words, no?
Yeah.
And for
absolutely.
example, when I explain the lessons, I try to use most cognates that I can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
no,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that's
and
a good
okay,
thing.
and it's with the camera, so I move a lot. For example, to mention that you have contractions, like I join my hands or things like that. No.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 Wonderful.
And okay, let's check another one.
All
Anna or
right.
anyone?
Oh, me?
Let
No.
who else wants to
Let's
share?
let the teachers
We
shine.
have Angelina, or who else is here?
Jacqueline, Francisca, would you like to
Jacqueline,
share with us?
Francisca, please.
No, they're shy today. Okay, I'm gonna do the lines that I have so you can
Okay.
Okay.
see. Okay,
Hmm.
so I have the car and other in the car industry and others around the world are having production problems because how little semiconductors are there. Global semiconductor problem cause what did I say? I forgot. Problems again. No, a global semiconductor how very little semiconductors are. Esto me pasa por no escribir. This happens because I didn't write it. Um, how little semiconductors are there cause General Motors company to stop production in all their factories in North America. A person from General Motors said that even when the situation is difficult but continuous, they are confident in their team's ability to continue to find creative solutions to minimize the consequences on the highest demand uh, and the capacity strain vehicles. I didn't finish.
Yeah, very
Excellent.
good.
I think that's really good. Who were your
Great.
students? Who were
My
you
my
thinking of?
primary fifth graders, they're
Wonderful.
A1 plus.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right.
Okay,
So
Jacqueline,
that.
we're going to listen to you later. I want to just check because I wrote the first line right there on the chat. It says the car industry around the world, actually it's industries around the world, are having production problems. So this is definitely for fifth graders. I mean, it's like, yeah, instead of the automotive and other industries around the world are facing production challenges, etc. Right, I are having problems. Yes, I think you nailed it. And for example, in that part of a GM spokesperson said, you said a person from General Motors, and I think that would help, your students to come up with the situation model, because they will imagine, okay, it is a person, all right, and GM means General Motors,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes, of course, we tend to forget. But a GM spokesperson, and what is GM? They don't think that it could be General Motors, that was mentioned
Mhm.
before. Okay,
Oh,
Jacqueline, thank you.
Jacqueline.
Anna,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Uh,
very good. Nice.
Jacqueline says the automotive and other industries around the globe are facing production challenges because of the less number of semiconductors. A
Hmm.
global semiconductor scarcity originated car giant General Motors to end productions at all but four of its plants in North America.
Wonderful. Now, Jacqueline, who were your students? You targeted this text for what kind of students?
Oh, very
B1.
good. Mhm.
What level? School level, university level, 7th grades, 11th, school level. And
Okay.
what grade? Primary,
I think it's
second,
high school.
high school. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes
Yeah,
total
that's good.
sense.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
matches the level.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. See, so I guess, as I said before, you've all done this before. Sometimes, you need something and you change something. Now, I don't think they are going to understand this. Well, if you're doing that, you're targeting your text, you know, and you're
Mhm.
targeting your students when you write your texts.
Yeah,
So,
Jacqueline says, I have changed some verbs. I think after
mhm,
reading the text, I will work on vocabulary synonyms, matching exercises.
Yeah, so
yes.
definitely that could be another aspect of the class. Now work on vocabulary. Apart from reading at the beginning, then you can work on vocabulary. So yeah, definitely. So that they can learn new words. Yeah.
Yeah, matching exercises. So, for example, automotive, no, automotive, car industry, something like that. Yes. Or you
Mhm.
said scarcity instead of shortage, right? Shortage goes with scarcity. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's wonderful. See, we teachers, this is like the message we wanted to get through with all these workshops is to empower you and probably, encourage you to write your own material and probably come up with your own graded readers for the specific students you have in your class, in your school, in your community, or in your cities, right? So we
Mhm.
think all of you can do that.
Anybody else would like to share what they have created, graded, targeted?
What you targeted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, what Jacqueline says. So different. We can make a difference with the students we have because there are different levels, so we can adjust
Yes,
our
differentiated
content.
instruct.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's right. Actually, I had a teacher who had, like a dictation or something, and the same text in three different levels at the same time in a thing. So the one student was working with the most difficult, the other one with the regular one, and the other one with the easiest. So you can differentiate instruction in class like that. Yeah. It's a little more work for us, I know, time consuming, but once we get the feeling and the vibe of it, you can start doing your own texts. So anyone else? Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Liliana and Anna. Wonderful job. Okay. Yeah, and sometimes the last thing I want to say is like, I don't have a B1 text. It's like, where do I get a B1 text or an A1 text, right? And is, well, a little more time consuming, as I said, but you can make this, which is probably a B2 text, and turn it into an A1 or A2 or B1. Just change some parts, change the vocabulary, and then you have all the text you want with the interests, you know, your students, with the things that your students are interested in.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Thanks to all of you for sharing your answers and
yeah,
everything. It's been great
we've
to know how you
finished.
can. Yeah.
Uh, Here you have our information. Okay, our email addresses. Those are the phone numbers of our offices in the at the university. So right now we are not
There.
there. We are working online, and that's my blog lecturaycomprension.wordpress.com. It explains all the reading comprehension model that we discussed yesterday, and of course you have the site where the books are. Feel free to use them. I thank you very much, for joining us today. I'm really happy to have helped a little bit. Hopefully, now, okay, you got something out of these workshops. Thank you very much, Marcelo.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to all of you. Yeah, definitely for joining us today. Thank you, Jacqueline. Diana.
We still have a couple of more minutes. If anyone would like to ask some questions to Orlando and Marcelo. If not, then that will be it. I would like
Yes, we
to
have one more
thank
minute.
you. Yeah, we have one more. Hey, but it's a minute. You can do a lot in a minute.
A lot.
I would like to thank you all, teachers, for joining us today. Thank you, Orlando. Thank you, Marcelo, for your wisdom and for sharing it with us. I know I'm going to start checking legends.
Great.
Thank you so much, teachers, for being here. Thank you on behalf of Orlando, Marcelo, and the Re-Evolution. Oh, Jacqueline says, how do you make your students reach the expected level? Because I think these are the first steps.
Oh, that's a question. I don't think we have.
We do. We have a couple more minutes, Orlando.
I don't know. How do you make your students reach the expected level?
Were you able to help them with your readers?
With reading or with getting to the level A2, B2, B1? For me, it is reading. Okay, I really think that reading comprehension is the key to almost everything in education. Okay, so if you lead them and give them the tools, they will be able to understand later on how to do the things on their own, right? Give them strategies, lead them through how to comprehend the text, etc., and they will eventually understand on their own and make that jump ahead. That's my view right here. Not sure what Marcelo can add.
Yeah, the thing is that if I look at the question, it seems that we're talking about the language perhaps, because reach the expected level, it B2, for example, but that takes, in my opinion, a lot more, because this is like just focused on one skill, but I think that we should also develop other skills in the language, not only just reading. Reading, as Orlando said, it's a key skill to get all the others also, but I think that that is more like comprehensive. It would take like more time also, so it's not like, but this helps absolutely, yes, to start like understanding the different ideas. This is my point.
Okay. Thank you all very much for being here. We will see each other maybe next year.
Hopefully.
I hope you all having a great day.